Welcome to Growth Minded Conversations. We're your hosts, Amy Dieselkamp and Paula Grimes from Growth Minded Talent Solutions, where we talk about the real leadership and hiring decisions behind building a growing business.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Growth Minded Conversations. I'm your host, Amy Dieselkamp, and I'm joined today with my business partner, Paula Grimes. How are you, Paula?
Hi there. I'm doing good.
Great. Wonderful. So this whole month, it seems like, we have been talking about DISC personality and the DISC profiles. For those of you who might not have caught some of our earlier episodes, the DISC personality profile stands for 4 different personality types. Your D, which is a driver, your I, which is an influencer, your S, which is your stable personalities, and your C, which are your more cautious personalities. So DISC is DISC. And if you want to know what your DISC personality is like, I encourage you to go back, listen to the other 4 episodes previous to this, and see which one might resonate with you the most. Because we all have a little bit of each personality type in us. And because of that, we all show up slightly different, even if you have similar personality profiles to other people. So I think that's kind of where we want to take it today, right? Well, we all have a different mix of these personality profiles in us. How do we use our knowledge around these profiles to help us with our teams?
100%. The reason we bring this into growth-minded talent, growth-minded training is for 2 reasons. One, it's to create awareness for you on how you show up in the world. Because when you can understand yourself better, you can really see where your strengths and weaknesses are and where maybe you need to adapt some behavior or where you need to even lean into some behavior. And then the second part is understanding the people around you, because we all view the world differently. We all see the world through a different lens. We're all made differently. So when we can understand how somebody views the world and how they show up, it helps us communicate in their style, and we connect with them so much quicker. So this can be used with clients. It can be used with team members. It can be used with employees or managers. It is incredible when you can, one, know yourself really well and then adapt to their communication style, how quickly you connect with them.
It's a way to build rapport, right?
Yes.
So it's kind of like being able to unlock the code of someone else's way of thinking or way of looking at the world to be able to immediately build that trust and rapport with them. Have you ever experienced, on a team where there are a lot of different personality types and they didn't have that understanding of a DISC or a purpose? What was that like?
I actually see it a lot. So I'm going to use the D and the S because they're kind of opposites of each other. I see often a struggle here, especially because Ds tend to be your leaders or your salespeople, and S's tend to be your back office staff or your operations people, right? So we have to work together. We're partners in this business. We have 2 different roles, but we're partners in this business. So the D is that driver. They're moving forward. They're moving at a fast pace. They're really direct communicators. They can get frustrated if things aren't moving fast enough for them because they expect everything to move as fast as they move. And then you have your S's, which are a little bit slower paced. They really care about the people around them and how everything affects the people around them. And they will sacrifice themselves for the people around them. So they're servant-hearted people. They really want to serve. However, they're also not super assertive people. So a D is super assertive, right? They are fast-paced. They tend to be very assertive. They'll come in and they will just dump on this S. And first of all, they're moving way faster than the S. So as they're dumping, the S is trying to grab everything they're throwing at them, right? And then worried about what am I missing that I'm going to drop the ball on. So now they're anxious because they're worried about what they're missing, and they're also trying to grab it all and understand exactly what's being said at the same time. So they're slower moving. They need a little bit more time to process. And this is one of my big frustrations is people say that S's have trouble with change, and they don't. What they need is time to process change. You can't just throw change at them because they want to see how it's going to affect everything around them. So the same thing happens when we come in and we do this big dump on them and expect them to help us with this big project, and we give them 5 minutes. Like, we're in and out in 5 minutes and we've dumped all this information on them, and they're just left holding this bag of information going, what just happened and where do I start? And I don't know if I have the full picture, right? So I see that disconnect a lot and over time, the yes feels like they're failing. And that's not what they want. They want to win. They want to service. So if they feel like they can't do that, they feel like they're losing. And what'll happen is they won't say anything until all of a sudden they're walking into your office and they're like, I'm quitting. And you're like, wait a minute. Why? Because they haven't said anything along the way. They've kept it all internal.
Yep.
And it all stems back to the D moving too fast for them.
Yeah.
So it's like, we got to remember they move slower. They may not share with us their frustration or their feelings. We may have to draw that out. So it's D slowing down, but I also encourage S's to speak up because, hey, that D doesn't know they're moving too fast for you.
Yes.
They don't know they're not giving you enough instruction or enough time. So you have to speak up. So from both sides, I encourage, hey, slow down.
Yep.
Hey, speak up.
Yes. You'll meet somewhere in the middle, hopefully,
Yes.
right? Yeah. And I'm a high IS combination. So working with high D personalities, you find yourself kind of being the person I'm just trying to internalize it, take the notes, and I'm just bobbing my head up and down, right? Just like, yes, nodding yes, saying, okay, I got it, I got it, I got it. And at the same time, you've got to build that confidence. You've got to know, like, once the D moves on, once they're out of your space, take the time, think through it, take your notes, ask yourself, where are the gaps? What don't you understand or what might you have missed? And go back and find your manager, find your leader, find your coworker later and say, hey, I've got some questions. Be ready to rattle them off because it's not going to be a conversation. It's going to be a question and answer session. And you can get all the information you need. So I think us high S's, we need to have the confidence to go back and ask for that second meeting, that follow-up quick conversation. And the high Ds need to be prepared for, just because someone's coming and asking us for more information or to repeat information doesn't mean that we're not talented and we don't know our jobs. It's just that we process that information differently. They need to catch you when you're not flying through the office, dumping everything on them. They'll probably wait until you're sitting quietly somewhere and they'll come find you with their list of questions on a notepad to ask.
And as you're talking, that brought me to, if you need to go back and get more information, it needs to be short and concise.
Yes.
Right? You can't tell this long story or give this explanation of why you need the information. They don't care.
Yeah.
They just want you to ask the questions, get the information, and move on. Because again, it's about speed. It's about getting things done. They don't care about the excuses or why you weren't able to accomplish it with the first conversation. If you need more information, they're like, okay, give me the questions, let me answer it. Which also brings up something else. If something happens and you need to explain it, the worst thing you can do for a D is make it, okay, they were born on the 4th of July. They don't want all the extraneous details. They want you to shrink it to what they absolutely need to know in the situation. They don't care about all the other stuff around it.
Whether you adopt AI in your day-to-day life or not, I highly encourage you at least use it for this kind of communication, because I know I'm an over-explainer. I know I need to know the whole story. And because I need to know it, I also want to share it. So when I know I'm dealing with Paula, you're a perfect example, someone who is a very high D, I will word vomit into ChatGPT and then say, give me the points that Paula would actually care about here. She's a high D personality on the disc profile. And it will write that out for me just like that. And I've got my little script of the actual information that Paula needs versus what I think is important as a high I, high S. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if I read a story, I can pick out the pertinent details in that story like that, right? But if your brain works in that story mode where you like the story and you always tell the story, and I so appreciate the people that are when it's story time. But if that's how your brain works, right? It is really hard for you to pull out, oh, they just need to know A, B, and C.
Yeah.
So thanks for that, because AI can really help with that if that's something you struggle with.
Definitely. Let's talk about the other two personalities. We focused on D's and S's and their dynamics. And that's really because in our world, we see a lot of very successful salespeople, which tend to generally have a higher D profile, and they are supported by really talented high S personalities because that stable personality tends to also gravitate towards those more supportive, helpful type roles. So we see a lot of that DS combination in our world. What about the I's and the C's of the world, Paula? How have you seen them interact with teams in the past?
Well, I'm going to let you speak to the I's. I'll speak to the C's because my secondary is a C. So I'll speak to the C. So your C's are the people that they slow us down. They make sure all the facts are correct. They make sure you're making the right decision. They are making sure we're following the rules. There is an absolute place for these people. And these people can be the most painful people when they're clients, right? When they're in our organization, because they do move slow. And they're moving slow to make sure they have all their facts correct. They're great when they're in accounting, in the legal aspect of things, right? Because you know they're not going to miss a detail. But they can be painful when they're in an organization that's moving fast, and yet they do bring value to the organization. And just like the S's, if you're an I or a D, you need to slow down for these people and give them some space. But they can also get into analysis paralysis. So they need that person saying, you have this deadline, right? By 2:00 today, I need you to have made this decision and move this project forward. They need to know what their parameters are as far as time so that they know what to step into. They'll totally step into it.
Yeah.
But if they think they have all the time in the world, a lot of them will take all the time in the world.
Yeah, that's so true. And I find that they also tend to be the question askers in the group, right?
Yes.
Like they're the ones who the meeting might go an extra 15 minutes because now they've got questions after they've been given all the information that was presented in the meeting. They just are looking for clarification or context for, what are next steps? What are expectations? Because they want to make sure that they're really, really clear moving forward. So yeah, she was a very talented ISA, but on my old team, I had an ISA she was a high B. So she was great for being on the phone, making phone calls, the no's never got to her. She was great, but she was also a very high C. So anytime she found any little thing like wrong or out of place or didn't look right in the CRM, I got an email about it. And I was like, you know what? Just feel free to fix it. I don't need an email every time. You can just fix it. And if it's a bug or an issue with the actual system not running right versus an individual file, let me know. But you have permission to make the CRM perfect. She would need to do that. For the first 30 days, I was like, oh my gosh, I come into work and I've got 10 emails because she would stay late and make calls in the evening. And I'd come in the next morning and have all of these notes and emails from her. And it was finally, it took me a while, but I finally realized she needed to be given permission to act on those highly detailed skills that she had.
That's what they need.
Yeah.
And we need that in our organizations, right? They will clean up the messes for us. They don't mind getting into that deep detail stuff. Empower them to do that.
If she was in the right role for it, right? You're in the database every day. I don't come through the database file by file, contact by contact. If you are, because you're making your dials, great. As long as your dial numbers don't suffer, I don't care if you want to also clean up and audit the information too. Yeah, she was excellent. She did a great job and couldn't have been happier to have her on the team. But it was a learning curve for both her and I in our dynamic together. As a high, my initial reaction when she would bring these things to my attention was to kind of take it personally. Like, are you telling me that you don't think I built the CRM? Right? But eyes tend to take things personally. We don't like rejection. We thrive on recognition. So that's been one of the big things I think in my career path and my development is feedback needs to stay compartmentalized. You need to dissociate yourself personally from the feedback you get from your, because it's not about you as a person. It's about the system. It's about the results. It's about the reality of where we are in the business or in the company. And it's not necessarily a personal rejection of you.
No.
Yeah.
Also with eyes that I've discovered recently is eyes love collaborating on things.
Yes.
D's not so much. A lot of D's are like, I'm just going to make the decision and move ahead. But if you're in an organization, even if you're a D that has a lot of I's in it, like they want to collaborate over it.
Yes.
So even though you might find that painful or you might find it unneeded, like it strengthens the organization. Right? And it does with S's and C's too, because they want their opinion heard and they're not going to just tell you what their opinion is.
Sure.
But if they're given the space where it's like your opinion is appreciated, they will share it. And their view of the world is often very different from the front lines or from the sales part. So their view should be valued. Yeah. So that's another thing as we talk about D's, right? Collaboration, getting everybody's opinion about something can feel like, oh my God, this is slowing me down and it doesn't matter. And yet it matters to the people in your organization.
Mm-hmm. I had a coach in a previous career that we were having those issues on the team, right? I had an ops staff that wasn't feeling like they were being heard. And I had a leader I reported to that was like, it's my company. I'm moving forward. They can get on board. They don't have to. And our coach made a really great comment of, just because they want their opinion heard, it doesn't make this a democracy, right? They're not asking for a vote. They just want to be heard, right? It's a town hall. Let them voice their opinion. Let them know that they've been heard. You still own the decision as the business owner, but you never know what they might bring to your attention in a town hall meeting that might change or affect the decisions that you ultimately make and you own as a business owner.
100%. And I have to say, there are many a times that I feel like I have had something figured out and then somebody says something and then I'm like, not that they hit it 100%, but it led me down a different path to a better way of doing something. And it's like, wow, I never would have gone this direction if that conversation hadn't happened.
I like to think of the eyes personally as like, we kind of help with the culture, right? We are outspoken enough and confident enough to speak up in the presence of a D, of a high D personality. And at the same time, because we want to be liked, we will work towards winning over the S's and the C's of the group and getting them to speak up or getting them to collaborate and work with us, because collaboration is the way to kind of get everybody on the same page without it having to turn or feel like it's confrontational. Because we hate confrontation, but we want everybody moving together in the same way. So yeah, that's how we influence is through collaboration.
I will add one more thing in about the C. C's will beat themselves up worse when they make a mistake than you ever could. Be very careful about how hard you come down on a C. because whatever you say to them, it's 10 times worse in their own head, because this is why they do the research. This is why they take all the time. They don't want to make mistakes. So when they make mistakes, it's devastating to them. Now, the caveat to that is because it's devastating to them, they can get stuck in ruminating about the problem. And we want a moving to solution, right? We just want the problem fixed. So they often will need one, don't beat them up, acknowledge the problem, why it happened, move them to solution. Okay, what are you going to do about this? Or how are you going to fix this? Or what do you think the solution is to this? Move them directly into solution and moving forward to get them out of their own way.
And I would say, kind of similar when you're giving feedback to someone who's an eye who makes a mistake, right? You give them that, here's the mistake or here's the problem. I need you to fix it. It's that message of, you can do this. Like, you're the person to fix this. You're the person to step into it. Eyes love recognition. So while we hate rejection or the thought of people not liking us, with you bring us critical feedback and empower us at the same time to be the person to fix or to make the change or to step in to another level of growth or development. It's like, it kind of almost borders on the challenge that a D thrives in, right? Like, they see something in me that I didn't even see in myself. I need to now perform at that level that they're telling me I need to perform at.
Right.
And again, if you have been listening to the series, these past few episodes, or if you're just jumping in today, I would highly encourage you go back to the previous 3 or 4 weeks, listen to our different takes on each personality profile, because we do go deeper in previous episodes. And be sure to reach out to us at growthmindedtalent.com, because if you are building a team or you have a team and any of this resonated with you, and you want to go deeper with your own individual team and team members, we'd love to be able to help you with that. So be sure to check us out at growthmindedtalent.com, where we can get into a deeper conversation around your DISC profile and the makeup of your team members. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you next week.
All right, growth-minded leaders, that's a wrap on today's episode. We hope this sparked some fresh ideas and fueled your drive to build, lead, and grow with purpose. And if something we shared helped shift your perspective, we'd love for you to leave a review. It helps us reach more business builders just like you. Better yet, share this with someone on your team or in your inner circle who's ready to level up their leadership game. Until next time, keep leading boldly, hiring wisely, and training with intention.